Welcome to a holiday edition of Mercury Center Stage. I am Brian Ritter. I'm the Executive Director of the Mercury Chamber Orchestra, and I'm joined by Artistic Director Antoine Plante. Merry Christmas, Antoine.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you.
Well, Mercury just released a virtual performance of our annual Neighborhood Series Holiday Concert. And this year, the program is Truman Capote's A Christmas Memory. Now, typically, we would perform this concert multiple times across Houston in intimate venues. But of course, that is impossible with the pandemic. And so we were faced with a unique challenge of offering this concert in an exciting new way for the holidays. And so, Antoine, I guess to start off a little bit of conversation, how did this idea of using a piece of literature as the centerpiece of this concert kind of come about?
Yeah, well, I guess it came about when we, late spring perhaps, we had to rethink the whole season, the whole 2021 season that now we're in the middle of. And the neighborhood concert that was planned was involving, I think, 4 singers and a small group of chamber music. And we thought, well, whatever we are in the pandemic, this may be a harder concert to do, because then, we didn't know about the singing and how would it work. So we kind of decided right off the bat to cut that specific program, which was supposed to be a German Christmas program. And I guess that the idea came, I think it was your idea, Brian, came into looking for a storytelling situation, and we looked at a few things, and this I think you brought forward this story, the Christmas Memory, and we had a look at it, and we thought, well, this is kind of an interesting. It was interesting, the concept of how can we at Mercury take some literature, really a nice piece of American literature, and bring it to our audience by including some music.
Yeah, this was a story that for some reason has stuck with me actually since my 10th grade English class. Mrs. Thomas assigned us this short story by Truman Capote. Of course, this great American author who wrote In Cold Blood, which he's probably most famously known. He also wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's, probably dozens of other stories. I was always fascinated. He grew up next to Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, the very, very famous novel and stage play recently adapted by Aaron Sorkin. But this fascinating author. And wrote this very charming, very nostalgic Christmas memory. I guess a bit biographical from his upbringing, but yeah, has stuck with me. And so I think when you planted that seed about perhaps a Christmas story could be the centerpiece of this, it immediately sprung to mind, and kind of fun that our whole team has found it kind of interesting to work with.
Yeah, exactly. And so, we started with this kind of thinking, okay, so this is, read the story and this is nice. I think, as you say, there's kind of nice nostalgic thing, but it kind of hits many nice concept of Christmas, with the of course the gift giving, but also the cooking and getting a tree together and so on. So then the next challenge was how do we include that, and what the music, what part of what we're going to do with making some music with it.
How did you tackle that interesting challenge of having music respond to this story in a way?
Yeah, so again, there was some back and forth between you and I, kind of thinking about different options, from writing a full kind of movie score that would really underlay the story, to something a little more specific and minimalist, which is actually where we ended up going, into just selecting few pieces of music that comes in breaks of reading, and that in some way fuels the story.
Yeah, you've identified, I guess, probably 6 or 7 sections of the story that that do lend itself very well, I think, to having sort of a musical interlude or response. And your choices are really very well done.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so there's, I mean, there is few places in the text where it was kind of easier to to find it. One of them, the most obvious one, is that at some point in the story, um, they um, they end up drinking whiskey.
Yes.
And it's a young boy and an older relative kind of cooking together, and at the end, and then in the text, he mentions that cousin sings that song, show me the way to get home, or to go home. And so that was fun. I kind of look at it, see if it's the real song. Indeed, I didn't know it, but actually I understand it is a somewhat famous song or familiar song, that because I've seen that it's been performed in several movies and so on. But it's a cute I think it's 1925 thing, and so that was fun to interpret that. Again, it's kind of a 1925 little jazzy song, and then came the idea. It's like, well, we need the words because otherwise it doesn't work. And so there comes Jonathan Godfrey, our concert master, who we know kind of likes to sing. And so this time he was he got actually quite a bit of a singing part, because another thing is that this first scene is about of the story is about them getting ready to cook fruit cakes. That's the tradition that they do at Christmas, is that they cook the cake. And so I kind of thinking of music for that when that happens, when they say, let's go and cook, or it's fruitcake weather. Is there carols, is there Christmas songs that refers to fruitcakes? And I actually found one, which is kind of an old song. And again, we ask our concert master, Jonathan, to pick up his guitar and kind of sing this really fun song about Christmas, about Miss Fogarty cooking Christmas cakes and how the things, with everything that she puts in it.
There were plums and prunes and cherries. There were citrons and raisins and cinnamon too. There was nuts and cloves and berries, and the crust it was nailed on with glue. There were caraway seeds in abundance, sure 'twould build up a fine stomach ache. It would kill a man twice after eating a slice of Miss Fogarty's Christmas cake.
So those were kind of two of the different thing, and then
Well, it's certainly a wide variety of music, probably spanning several hundred years. And traditional Christmas carols, of course, appear throughout. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you used Corelli's Christmas Concerto, a piece that Mercury has performed a number of times, is also recorded, but you've beautifully used that in this piece at several places. Maybe share a little bit of the thinking behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so we I wanted to have a bit of the repertoire that we are more known for, that our audience really love, and so we go to the Baroque Christmas music. Really, the Christmas Concerto by Corelli is really a beautiful piece that we know well. And so I used actually one of the movement just as an introduction of the whole story. It's the beautiful pastoral of the concerto. But also in that Christmas Concerto, the most famous and frankly the most beautiful part is this middle movement, this slow movement. Kind of it's kind of a duet between the two violins with a beautiful arpeggio line from the cello, and it's we hear it a lot. It's something that is really familiar, but it's something that is super beautiful and super touching. And so at the end of the story, Well, there's this whole kind of scene with they give each other kites, and then they go and they fly the kites the day of Christmas together. And then at the end of the story, they kind of get apart, they get older, and there's kind of the closing thoughts about, thinking of that time where we flew the kites. And so we were kind of able to use this beautiful music to create this connection musically that in a way helps telling the story, but it makes it, even more moving because of that aspect of it. So I think it's a really beautiful moment in the story.
I think the more time you spend with Truman Capote's text, it is really just a fascinating piece, and I think it warrants probably several listens of this program, or several quick reads of the story itself, because what he does with the language and the story is really very, very interesting and very compelling. But of course, you need a master storyteller to tell the story well. And we turn to David Rainey, a very well-known Houston actor, appearing regularly at the Alley Theater and other places in Houston. Could you talk a little bit about David, Antoine, and collaborating with him? This is not our first time working together.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I know David for many years. Maybe I want to say 3 years ago, he did a great monologue when we did the version of Vivaldi's Four Seasons and Purcell, the Fairy Queen. We had this play that he was the main character of, and so we started kind of that relationship then, and it was a fantastic experience working with him. And I'm a fan. I go to the Alley, see most of what he does, and he also has his own theater company. So really a great artist and a great part of our artistic community here in Houston. So when we thought about finding somebody to give this story, to make this story alive, I thought of him, and he was really excited to join as well. So I think that's it's a big part of it is how beautiful is and how captivating the storytelling itself is, and David is so good at that. He really kind of brings you along, and I think that he did a really marvelous job at reading the story for us.
One of the things I alluded to earlier was the unique way that this performance came together, and really what the challenge was for us was that we could not have David as the narrator in the same room as our string quartet, which provided the music. And so it gave us this very interesting challenge of figuring out that dynamic. I think initially maybe we had imagined, filming this in a living room with David by the fire and the string quartet socially distanced off to the side, and that filmed with maybe a Christmas tree or other other props of Christmas that would help elevate the story. However, that did not come to pass, and so I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the production aspects of this and what went into making the final product come together.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, and that's a typical, pandemic story. is things are hard. Things are not as we plan, and we have to just turn around pretty quickly. But yeah, as you mentioned, the first idea was to have everybody in the same room, and lots of things happened. Lots of things that made this more and more difficult. But at the end of the day, too, when we were planning this, it became clear that David couldn't be in the same room with us because of the pandemic regulation out of the Actors Guild, basically. And so, but there we are. We the show must go on, and so we figured out a way, I think, that that works quite well. And to him, he did his own setup, and we helped him, with technical help for everything, for it to look nice and to be beautiful. And then we just got the string quartet at the match. So a great concert hall with good technical ability and added projection create some nice atmosphere. And so there we were able to roll with the punches and actually do something that is quite beautiful, and maybe actually be better than the original idea.
Yeah. Well, really very fascinating how it all came together. The various recording sessions, of course, with David recording the story, and then recording the musicians, creating the music. So a big hand to everybody involved, and Antoine, especially to you, arranging all of the music and making the choices and the selections for this, making it a really memorable experience. Of course, our musicians, our concertmaster, Jonathan Godfrey, Andres Gonzalez, Katie Carrington, and Sonia Matasova, all of them performing this music. And a big thanks, of course, to David Rainey, who just does such an outstanding job bringing this classic story to life.
Indeed, yeah, bravo, and bravo to you too, because it was a lot of back and forth between you and I to create this program. So you have a good share of the of the way that it turned out.
well, a fun process, and of course we do all the creating, and then Ben Doyle of Ben Productions works his magic and brings all the pieces together to create the final product. So a big acknowledgement to Ben as well.
Yeah.
So there we have it. Some fun insights into Truman Capote's A Christmas Memory. Thanks so much, Antoine, for having the conversation this afternoon.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure, and please enjoy.
Well, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and thanks again for tuning in to the Mercury Center Stage Holiday Edition. All the best for a wonderful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We will see you soon.